Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Madmen with a Box Live, our 100th live episode. I am ProfPixel, and joining me sometimes always is Joker Allo.
It's true. I am here sometimes always.
Sometimes always. We're here today, of course, to talk about the latest episode of Doctor Who, Rogue. But before that, we do have some news to get in. We have a Landry who should be popping in later. And who knows about Jimmy? I know we're down Chris for the 100th live episode of our podcast because he's on a trip, but we'll have to see if Jimmy shows up.
It would be kind of funny if you were the only one who was here for the 100th.
No, maybe. Or he purposely missed this one. Oh, I wanted to be here for 101. Okay. Before we get into any reviews, there's just a little bit of news this week. Part speculation, part news. Big Finish this past week. They just posted this picture of Sacha Dhawan and Sylvester McCoy fighting over their sweater vest. So that means, at the very least, that because Sasha is supposed to have a Big Finish series that's supposed to come out next year in 2025, early 2025. So maybe they finally got him in the studio to record.
Ooh.
Ooh, yes. Next for Big Finish, and it's still more Big Finish. I feel like we talked about this already. Operation Werewolf. This is the next Second Doctor adventure with Michael Troughton. And we can see that Jamie's back, but Zoe's joining them this time. So it's not quite sure where it's going to be set on this new line of adventures. But I'm definitely interested.
Nice.
Yes, I'm pretty sure Chris has already pre-ordered it. So
yeah, no, I mean that's a good era of Doctor Who right there. You know, your Jamie and Zoe's and whatnot. It's a good time.
And the Second Doctor adventures have been good. Michael does a fantastic job playing his father. So,
nice.
And okay. Next, novels. More Target novels are coming. So Space Babies, 73 Yards, and Rogue, which I know Landry doesn't care for 2 of those episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't know about Rogue.
Honestly, I'd kind of be interested in reading the novelization of 73 Yards. I would be curious what gets maybe expanded upon or elaborated on in that, because I feel like they might, because I feel like you'd have to.
I do love these covers. I feel like the one that they include all the way to the left, which is the Church of Ruby Road, they already released. Like that's the same author who already did the novelization.
Yeah.
I mean, are they just re-releasing with a new cover? I like this cover better, so
it is nice. Yeah.
Yes. But 73 Yards, I think that would definitely be a good read. Another interesting bit is that for Rogue, the writers for the episode that we're going to be talking about tonight both returned for the novelization.
Interesting.
I guess they really, really cared about it, which is good.
I guess, yeah.
Well, I mean, look, RTD wrote 3 of those episodes right there. He didn't return for the novelization. I know he's a little busy, but
yeah, I feel like show running is time consuming.
Yes. The last bit that we really have to talk about, is they went ahead and released the synopsis for Empire of Death. An ageless enemy reigns supreme. That's all we have. We don't know anything more than that because we haven't seen the next episode, which will lead into that episode. But it's nice that that's out. And were you here last week? I'm pretty sure we had this news last week. They are going to be doing another episode of Tales of the TARDIS.
Right.
With Ruby and Shooty listed as the synopsis that was revealed at first sounded more promising. The edited one sounds like it's just a clip show of season 1. So people are hoping it's not a clip show, that it might tie into whoever our big bad is here at the end, whatever Susan Twist is doing. But we'll have to just wait and see. That being said, we can't really see because we don't get Tales of the TARDIS here in America. We can lie.
We'll find a way.
We'll find a way. All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything more that we really need to discuss, but I don't think so. So we can go ahead and we can get started with our reviews. We do have a video from Chris. I was going to try save it a little bit just in case Landry could pop in, but we could start with that unless you wanted to go first.
Yeah, we can start with Chris, sure.
Alrighty.
Hey, sorry I couldn't be there on the stream, but happy 100 episodes or 100 live streams for Madmen with a Box. I know there's technically more, but for our new canon, much like Doctor Who, we're going to just disregard some stuff. This is the official canon. We've had 100, okay? But yep, I'm probably at the time this comes out, I'll be over in Singapore, having the time of my life, dying in the heat, probably, who knows. But I did promise I'll make this little video to give my thoughts on the latest episode of Doctor Who, Rogue. So what did I think of Rogue? Favorite X-Men character for various obvious reasons. I mean, Rogue, she's quite a hottie, isn't she? But no, jokes aside, the actual episode Rogue, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a really fun episode. There's fun characters. The villains, they're not, the best villains we've ever had in Doctor Who, but they're fun, I guess. I do feel like it was kind of unnecessary that there was 5 of them, because the other kind of 2 that get introduced like towards the end of the episode, I feel like kind of just there. I feel like you would have just been fine with just 3. We get introduced to the 2, and then we get the shocking twist that there's another one that they've kind of had with them the entire time. But 5 in total, I think it's a bit too much. But regardless, they're okay. They do their job. Episode itself, it's fun. It felt a bit quick, which I think is mainly just kind of a problem with just the series overall. A lot of it is just quick because the shorter episode count, we're not going to get as much development as we want with characters, stories, whatever, etc., etc. But obviously the main thing I think we're all going to talk about is the Doctor and Rogue. I vibe with it. I vibe with the chemistry, okay? It's Pride Month, okay? Support, okay? I support them, okay? Again, because of just how rushed, how quick overall the season has been, it is a bit quick for them to just click instantly. But then again, Girl in the Fireplace, Ten and Madame de Pompadour kind of just get lovey-lovey, smooches and everything very quickly. So can't really complain about that because I like the girl in the fireplace. I really like that episode, so whatever. But no, I like Rogue as a character, even though he's he's Captain Jack-like. Regardless, I think he's a fun character. I do hope maybe we'll see him. Who knows? I kind of like it leaving it open-ended, but maybe coming back in a future season. Who knows? The Doctor again being very emotional. It's great. But we're getting it like almost every episode, so I don't know. I feel like the scene shouldn't be hitting. The scene should be hitting hard, but the problem is we're seeing it over and over again through almost this entire like series, so they're not as impactful as it should be. Although Delaney says about like how long do Cholders live, and like sending them off to be in prison is like good. I hope they have time to suffer. Like I think that's really good. That's a good line. But no, overall, I don't particularly have any faults with this episode. It's a fun episode. Really enjoyed it. I know Jimmy probably hated it, of course, obviously, because it's Jimmy. He has to be the contrarian. Even if that's if he's here on this stream. Who knows? Who knows at this point? But yeah, if I had to rate it, I'd probably, for me, probably around the same level as Devil's Court. I think I gave Devil's Court about a 7.5 out of 10. I would also give it a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe just edging up a little bit more. Well, I did like the Devil's Court. I just had more fun with this episode. So, yep, that's overall my thoughts on Rogue. I'm hoping everyone else maybe agreed, because my opinion's the only one that's valid. Thank you. Happy 100 to us, to Madmen with a Box. And hopefully, see you next time, maybe? Who knows? Oh, yeah, and one thing. I almost forgot. The whole, like, Doctor faces. Yeah, the Richard E. Grant one is just, I'll say, very confusing, mainly because he's played 2 Doctors. So, it felt like such an, like, unnecessary, like, kind of Easter egg, because it just makes my head hurt now a bit more. It's just like, okay, is that supposed to be Schalke Doctor? Is that supposed to be 10th Doctor from Curse of Fatal Death? Because I think he's the 10th Doctor in that one. So it's just really weird. It's just it's kind of unnecessary, given how much we don't know a lot of the Timeless Child and the pre-Hartnell Doctors. Is just like, oh, throw in another one. Thanks, I guess. Okay, that's it. Bye-bye.
All right, there we go. Yes. I forgot about the Richard E. Grant face again. I keep forgetting, like every so often, like that one little face. Like I like when I actually sat down and watched the episode, I was like, oh, there it is, and then I totally faded into obscurity again. But now, Joe of the Corrales.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got some thoughts on. I mean, Chris covered a lot of different things. I think definitely was very like villain of the week. Was very. They were fine. They weren't particularly like. I never. Like the one thing I think the episode fails to do is properly convey this idea that they are as big of a threat as they're saying they are. Because it's like, it's a handful of these and they're just like killing a few people, and it's like they kind of make it out like if we don't stop them right now, like the whole world is doomed. And it's like 5 of you guys, and
Wow.
it was a little much. You know, like
Okay, but think about the Slovene.
mhm.
That was a small part of a family that came together to go
Sure.
ahead and take over the government, and that's what they were talking about next. They were talking about starting wars and stuff, and
Yeah, but like you're kind of also feeding into a point I'm going to bring up of it's all retreading. It's all like Eccleston. It's we not only got the Slovene, we got the Slovene and Captain Jack in one episode. You know, it was like
that's fair.
really like we're really retreading this stuff. So like that I didn't like. I it was nice having another episode because it's felt like it's been too long at this point of Shooty being the lead and Ruby kind of being like doing stuff, but isn't like the focus. Like we
Except
haven't had that in like really we haven't really had that this whole season. So it was like nice to have an episode like that. I mean there were I know like the background characters like there the Doctor and Rogue, they had good chemistry, but it was almost like to the detriment of the story because like none of the side characters like involved in that situation like are memorable or mean anything. And this series has done a pretty good job so far, even in the more lackluster episodes, of having a few standout characters that are in the background, like the like 73, the pub scene, everyone in there. That was really memorable. The handful of characters, like there weren't that many, but that were in Boom. That was really well done. Obviously, the Devil's Chord, Space Babies, maybe for the wrong reasons they stood out, but they stood out. This is probably by far the blandest supporting cast. Not just the villains are kind of bland, and then everyone in the background, other than Rogue, is like what's happened? Who cares? None of them really have any presence. And again, the what I think really worked with Captain Jack, and again, back then, 19 years ago now, they flirted with this idea. There was flirting with the Doctor and Captain Jack. Like that was they were doing that. Like it might have been like a little more subtle, but like also wasn't. Like Captain Jack was very expressing interest in the Doctor. The Doctor was kind of like coy about it, but it was still like it was a little like But here it's more direct, and while that's fine, and again to Chris's point, like you're also the girl in the fireplace and all of that. Like I feel like I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like Landry might also feel this way. So I'd really, I hope he gets here. I'd be interested to hear him. Like, I'm not a fan of puppy love Doctor that like Russell T Davies likes to go back to. Like, I'm not a fan of that. I'm very much a fan of the Doctor is an asexual creature. The Doctor isn't interested in people in that way. The Doctor is, just like that's not his thing. He's, and not a sexual or romantic kind of person. He is a Time Lord, and that's a different thing. And that sort of stuff is for the other characters. And so yeah, I mean, I get that they're trying to do be like, oh well, maybe it makes a little more sense because Rogue is also not like necessarily the same as like some of these companions that tend to be people from Earth for some reason. But there were.
They also don't confirm if he's human.
Yeah.
Because there's a scene when they go back and finally the Doctor and Ruby reconnect in the middle, and Rogue asks, "Should we be telling this to humans?" It's like, oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have that. You have. I don't like the Doctor's heads that like unnecessary. Didn't need it. Wish they cut it out. It just plays into. It plays into all of the stuff that like Russell likes to just like kind of poke the bear and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not that into that element of it. I saw that ending coming, like the twist coming a mile away. It's like, of course they set it up when they're like, oh well, if you do this and you could goes into combat mode. I'm like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen, and then exactly what I thought was going to happen. So like that kind of undercuts it a little bit. That said, I mean, it's a gorgeous set and costumes. The Doctor and Rogue had really good chemistry. I wish the writing was better. I think some of the worst stuff in this is the writing. I was not a fan of a lot of the little bits, like one like the whole bit with the Doctor just like turning the music on and then turning it on and off. That was like really like childish and annoying in a way that like didn't work for me. Like if he did it like once, that would have been fine. But like they kept going back to that. That was just I thought irritating more than anything else. It after he kept going back to it, it left that like, oh, this is kind of cute, flirty stuff into like, guys, fucking stop it. Like this is ridiculous.
Well, that's why. I mean, not to say that your feelings aren't valid. I'm just saying that's why they had Rogue come steal the screwdriver to go ahead and make sure that he was the Doctor was getting desperate at that moment to reveal himself.
Yeah, but like, again, it's like, well, why didn't the Doctor just say he was a Time Lord or something before getting in that situation? Like there's just little bits of it that are like a little too much of the writing was very lazy and felt like, oh, well, we won't reveal this because they need to not know that or else the story doesn't work. And it's like, well, make a story that works then. I don't know what to tell you guys. But the song choice too was very like, yes, Russell, we get it. You were gay at a very certain time, and that was a song that was very popular. We get it. Like, it's just like that kind of stuff. That was I mean, it's not the worst thing, and that's a little like inside baseball-y, but
so I am very like I if you look back at old reviews, there are very few like I'm not complete. Oh, the late Landry Q Walker.
Hello.
Okay, hello.
Hey, sorry to keep you guys waiting. I hope you started. I hope you didn't wait for me.
We started.
We started.
Yeah.
Where are we hiding?
What?
Where are we hiding?
Where are we hiding?
Yeah.
Oh, where am I? I'm in my car.
Okay.
I'm driving home. So yeah. So you won't see me, but you will hear me. I have opinions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, no, I thought you might, but I'll wrap up then so I can let Landry go. That I'm not sure still, and I think it's all going to depend on if Rogue comes back soon or not. But I'm not super into the idea of, oh, the Doctor is interested in a, I guess, same-sex partner, but they're both aliens, so who knows, I guess. But also, we're gonna like more or less take him off the board right away. I don't know, that just seems very like I don't know, is it regressive, is it it's like bury your gaze adjacent, like it was just a weird thing to do. And I know that's like Russell's not obviously interested in like figuring that, but it just felt like, why do it this way? Like, why not have them solve it and then they go their separate ways and maybe they meet Rogue again, instead of doing this over dramatic thing at the end that isn't as overly dramatic as maybe everyone who made it thinks it is. So
that is fair. Mr. Walker of the Qs.
Okay, so I managed to watch it this morning. I was worried I wasn't going to get to it in time. And I have some various mixed opinions. It's a really complicated one because, first off, on the surface, I think it's one of our best written episodes. Really well acted, really well performed. I thought the dynamic between the Doctor and Rogue was very, very solid. Really great chemistry. I love the Bridgerton fun they had with the Bridgerton concept, which it's funny because I just finished catching up on Bridgerton, so that was perfect timing, and they really nailed the look and feel of that. All of that said, while I'm going to end up giving this one high points, not like I did Dot and Bubble, but I did have some problems. And I'm going to hit the first one, touches on what you were just talking about, in like, they basically fridge Rogue at the end, for like using a modern comics term. They fridge him. He's taken up. I knew that was going to happen because we only have one episode left and it's not long enough. He's too much of a distraction to be there for the climax of the story, I think. If he was introduced in episode 4, I could see him maybe lasting 3 episodes or even getting in there, but it would be too quick. Introduction, take him off the board was going to happen no matter what. So because we have an 8-episode season, this is the curse of the 8-episode season. You could kind of bring Captain Jack in, who's a fundamentally similar character with a fundamentally similar introduction, and you could bring him in and kind of play with the character a little bit because you had a larger season. This one being so short, you don't have time to develop things you need to develop. So then you ask the question of like, well, then you're shorting it. So maybe why do it that way at all? Maybe just have this be, introduce him in episode 2 and have it be part of the storyline going forward. Then you could do it. But my other criticism is the reductive, I don't know if I'm using that word correctly. It felt very Captain Jack intro. It felt very Shapeshifter Slitheen mixed with the family of blood. I really liked it, but at the same time, I felt like I've seen all of these pieces before. Like, AI doesn't make art, right? It just takes it and rearranges it on such a micro level. We can't see all the pieces, though sometimes we do. This felt like very skillfully put together by something that analyzed all of Russell T Davies' previous stories and made a new one, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that it wasn't good. I thought it was really good, but I felt like I saw every part before, but in a different puzzle piece. Every puzzle piece before in a different picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's basically it for my opinion. I liked it a lot, but yeah, like Rogue felt like I knew where it was going to go from moment one. It was all real predictable, still very good. But then also, yeah, I saw this episode a couple times already.
Yeah.
So for me, I was starting before he popped in. I have, when it comes to the Doctor having any romance in his life, it's very hard for me to accept. I didn't like what RTD did with Rose. I never liked Rose, largely because of that. Which is probably why I liked Martha so much more, because she got over it, and that was the key.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are very few people that that works with. I do like him and River because they have that parallel story timeline, and that bringing them together. I like that. I do. And I mean, yeah, the two, they clicked. They certainly clicked. I don't like the Doctor.
I'm actually on the same page with you on that. Generally, I thought that this worked so well, and I thought the chemistry is so good that it didn't bother me. But I didn't like it with Rose. I actually didn't like it with River Song. This, in terms of showing the Doctor in relationships, for me, this was the most successful one I've seen. But if I'm asked to, do I have a preference to have the Doctor in any relationships? My preference is no, but they did it well. So I left that criticism out because of that in this case.
So I think the key thing is that I'm realizing now, with everything that we've said, because I get he's very what does the kid say, coded? He's very Captain Jack coded.
Yeah.
But I was able to go ahead and push that because he's not as overbearing as Jack. It was really
he's much better performer. So
yeah, I'm with you.
Well, I was saying I feel like it was the Doctor more pushing, more flirting, and that's hard for me. just because that's the Doctor flirt, but it wasn't as strong as it was for this episode.
This is probably the only actor we've seen in the role so far that could pull it off on this level, I think. And I think he really handled that really well. It was very well done. I see where you're coming from, though. I do honestly understand.
Yeah. But that being said, I really did like the episode. I love the Childers. I think that they could be a very exciting new villain to see.
Oh, they're great.
I don't get how bird shapeshifter just works, but it does. It just clicks. I'm looking forward to the new box set of classic Doctor's new monster.
I'm looking forward to some action figures of them. I want a little set.
Especially the one with that has the long whiskers.
Oh yeah, that one really stood out. I don't know how they'll do that well in plastic though. Hold on a second.
An interesting thing to bring up, because I haven't noticed it in any other episode, but when the Doctor was using his new sonic screwdriver, we all I pretty rightfully thought that the flat surface was the main interface of what he would be using, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this episode, at least 3 times, he does it with the curved side up. So he's holding it on the flat side, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's like a squished sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, so he's holding it, finger hooked around the curved top, 3 fingers holding the flat side, and pushing a button on the back with his thumb. It's interesting. I almost like it slightly a little more. Slightly, because it's still a very bad design for a sonic screwdriver. But it's just one of the things I noticed, other than it being red and gold, which was nice. But episode-wise, I think it was a really good episode. But you're right. It does read a little like, oh, he disappeared. He's going to pop in a second again.
I'm sure.
He probably checked an app and it sent him away. And he's like, oh no. Because I'm pretty sure
apps will do that.
Apps will do that. I wonder if next season we're going to have an episode about apps, evil apps. They're already pretty evil on their own.
Yes.
There we go.
Sorry.
There we go. It's okay. You're back. I was saying, I feel that this episode, and I don't mean this in a rude way, it feels like if someone wrote fan fiction of the Doctor and Jack getting together off of their first meeting.
Well, it makes me wonder if this was an earlier draft of that Russell T Davies had. Stephen Moffat would have had, but I don't know. Maybe Russell T Davies or whoever wrote this one wanted to give their own spin of it. It just, like I said, it was very well done. Because I didn't actually like Captain Jack's first appearance that episode. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but that episode didn't click for me. Whereas then I really liked this one. This felt like a better version of it, but it also still felt like something I've seen before.
I do want to go ahead and say that the writers for this episode, there's two. There's Kate Herron and Bryony Redman. I think that's how it's pronounced. I know Kate Herron worked on Loki.
Okay.
I'm not sure what Redman worked on. But yeah, no, this was their episode. I'm very interested in seeing what they do with, because they've already confirmed target novelizations of this episode. You missed it. 73 Yards and Space Babies. Two of the episodes you hated the most.
Wow. Interesting choices. Maybe they're those two are the ones they decided needed the most fill-in work.
Yeah.
Of those, this episode is the only one that has the writers for the episode returning to do the novelization.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. I mean, the other two episodes were RTD, so I guess he was busy.
Yeah. So, did Chris manage to send in an opinion?
He did. He liked the episode. He thought it was really fun. I think he mentioned something about feeling like he's seen most of this before. He gave it a 7.5. But Landry, you didn't mention Richard E. Grant. We got to get you to talk about that for a second at least.
Oh, I paused it. I was trying to figure out who that was, and yeah, that was him, wasn't it?
Schalke,
because what? Because of Schalke. I hate that. I loathe that. I listen. I am a purist in terms of when I got into Doctor Who. The first episode I saw was Seeds of Doom, which is an interesting one to join because there's no canon. The TARDIS barely appears, only at the very end. He's just a scientist. I didn't know he was an alien. I didn't know he was a Time Lord. I didn't know any of the lore. And then the next episode I saw was what's it called? The first one with the melting master, when he goes to Gallifrey.
Deadly Assassin?
Yes.
Deadly Assassin was the second one I saw. And I'm like 12 years old. And so I got bombarded with all the lore in that one. That's where they established the 13 lives, the master's at the end of his. And that was what sold me on the show. The idea that these beings, while as powerful as they are dealing with a ticking clock, their version of kryptonite. So right then I was obsessed with the idea of seeing the Doctor, because I understood, okay, he's in his fourth life now. And then I'm tracking going, how old will I probably be when he reaches his last one if this stays on the air, right? Doing the math on that. Funnily enough, I was actually correct on the math, despite the gap. But I was really looking forward to the idea of the Doctor hitting their 13th life and basically having to deal with, now they're mortal. Now they're just like anyone else. They die, they die. And I felt I got cheated of that to begin with. So now to the whole retcon, as I've mentioned on this podcast, of the Doctor actually being this other being and having thousands of lives or whatever, I just want to ignore that. I don't mind the Doctor getting a new set of regenerations. That was introduced very early on. I like the idea that it's a mechanism the Time Lords allowed the Doctor to get, because the Master, they did it with the Master in the 5 Doctors. They said, hey, we'll give you a new set of regenerations. Great. So putting that Doctor, I don't count Doctor in there.
I think it. I don't think it mean like it really doesn't mean anything. He did that just kind of as a dig. I think.
Oh no, it's cute. It's cute, right?
Yeah. But I guess we should go ahead and go to ratings. Chris went ahead and rated his 7.5. He thinks that matches the Devil's Cord, and that's what he has it at. Joe of the Corrallos.
I think I'm gonna go with a 7. There's I like a lot of it. Again, like this whole season, it's just like it's like, God, I really want to love this episode, but you gotta like do a few things. So I only like it or really like it, or in some cases dislike it. But yeah, this is a 7 almost solely because of Rogue and the chemistry with the Doctor. Otherwise, I think this would end up being a 6. Like if it was not, like if that wasn't incredible, I think it would have lowered it a little bit, because, like we were saying, like it's all been done before in Doctor Who, and even if it's like, arguably better than some of the other times they've done it, we've still did it almost 20 years ago at this point. So yeah. But yeah, I think 7's fine for this. And we lost Pixel.
Oh no. Well, I guess I'll give my ratings.
There you go.
I think I'm going to match yours for the same reasons. I think we're on a very similar page here. The chemistry gave it a 7, brought it to a 7 for me. I enjoyed the episode. But mostly because that chemistry was so on point. I did love the aliens, but I also felt I saw the exact kind of aliens with the Slitheen and the Family of Blood before. I thought this was the best execution of that concept, but it's still the concept. And after you go to the well enough times, it doesn't matter that it's really good water. I've had water before. But then I do try to acknowledge and understand that, it's not really, it's for those 8-year-olds who are never going to go back and watch those episodes. So Doctor Who's always going to get retold, and that's okay. And this was that instant. But for me, as a longtime aging fan, I was fine with it because it was such well executed, but it needed that chemistry to put it over the line, and it did have it, and they did nail it. And honestly, the first time you're going to have the Doctor in that kind of relationship is really important, that they nailed it so perfectly. And I almost want to give it an 8 because of that, because if they had not stuck the landing on that, I think it would have been really damaging for them.
The landing. Oh, for sure.
What's that?
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with that.
I have no visual. So Pixel, is that you? Are you back?
Yeah, Pixel's back.
But yeah, I'm going to stick with the 7 because I think it's a good. But my enjoyment was high. For a 7, my enjoyment was high for this. But maybe it's me that's out.
I think 7.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's fine.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Pixel, go ahead.
The aliens so much. They no more. Chris at a 7.5. So 0.5. for Landry as well. Am I lagging?
Yes. Yes.
Is the day everything falls apart.
It's because Chris isn't here. No.
I think maybe the signal's not good enough right now.
So
Cutting in.
That's
and out.
happened. Pixels
good for me
lagging.
either. So
It's a rough time.
hope come through. Even with the delay.
I heard nothing for a while, then even with the delay, and that was it. Heard nothing for a while. Okay. All right. Watching. Okay.
Does this work? Jesus Christ. Do you hear me on here?
Yes. Yes. It's okay now.
Is it delayed or demon fuel or what the hell, man?
No, this is it's fine now, I think.
I'm trying to fix my earphones right now so I could hear if everything is working out. Nothing is working out today. This is horrible. Okay. Media. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm ending this right now. We want to thank you so much for joining us for this 100 episode disaster. You heard our reviews. We hope you liked them. 7.5 for me and Chris. 7 for Joe and Landry. Maybe I cut out. Who knows? Please stick with the Madmen with a Box. We will get on our feet again. So, for Joe, for Landry, for myself, thank you so much for watching. Stick around. Bye. ALLONS-Y.